Hey, what's up, everyone? You're listening to the Talk About It podcast. I'm Lauren Fulmer.
I'm Victor Dantas.
And we have special guest, Tony INGARRA, here today. Tony, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
Good.
Good.
Thank you for coming and taking time out of your busy day. We greatly appreciate you doing that. We like to have everyone just kind of start off. Tell us a little bit about yourself, you know, the old elevator pitch. What do you got?
So right now I'm currently kind of a unique scenario. I am on active duty orders in the Marine Corps, but my duty station is my home. So I get to wake up every day and I work for the Wounded Warrior Regiment. So I have a list of Marines all throughout the Midwest who are wounded, whether it's mental, physical, and I just help them get support, whether they need financial help, medical, anything like that. Anything that they come up, I'm their go-to.
Cool.
So I do that during the day, and then at night I run a martial arts facility in Rockton, Illinois.
And what's the name of that?
Pride Jiu-Jitsu Academy.
Okay, you better plug it.
Yes.
You better plug it, man.
So,
I got a few Pride Jiu-Jitsu shirts and tank tops.
You do.
How did you start liking jiu-jitsu?
I've always been a fan of martial arts. I remember trying to find some around the Galesburg area growing up, and went to a couple places. Didn't last very long. I still remember me and my brothers renting the UFC from Family Video and watching the old school ones. And I bounced around a lot growing up, you know, like colleges and in the Marine Corps. So I was never really settled in anywhere. And then once I got settled in to the Rockford, Illinois area, and I got a steady job, I just found a spot and started about 12 years ago. I think I took my first jiu-jitsu class. Been doing it ever since. And I opened up my own spot 2 years ago. So
Okay.
it's been
How's
fun.
that going?
It's been going great.
Now, you guys, I follow you on Instagram, Pride Jiu-Jitsu. You can look it up. You guys not only deal with adults, you have young adults, youth, kids. Tell us a little bit about that and how it's going.
So the kids are fun. I knew I'd get to it at some point, but I had a few parents that kind of just nudged me because I was so focused on adults. And I started to understand the bond that some parents would learn in the adult class and go home, and their kids were so interested, and they would drill the techniques together. And then I started to realize that it was such a bonding moment for the parents and the kids. I'm like, okay, let's get this kids program up and running. And now I've got more, probably adults have signed up because they sit there and watch their kids, and then they'll talk, you know, on the side of the mat. And next thing you know, this dad trains and this mom comes in, and just old mom or dad that just wanted to bring their kid in. We're like, okay, I guess I can do this too. And so it's both programs have kind of helped feed off each other, and we have a ton of just multiple family members are training at the same mats, different classes, sharing techniques with each other. It's been a lot of fun.
What do you see in your experience in getting to work with families, youth, people of all ages, 12 years in your own experience with mixed martial arts? Whether it's wrestling, MMA, jiu-jitsu, whatever, there's a great deal of discipline and responsibility and character that goes on through that. Why don't you talk a little bit about that, maybe your own personal experience?
Sure.
And then as well as, you know, being able to teach others.
I believe jiu-jitsu, especially, again, with their belt system and their promotions, it gives a little guidance and kind of a roadmap where I think adults, especially, even kids, will kind of get lost. They just don't. It's very difficult to prove what hard work gets you, especially as a kid. They just know they maybe study, take some tests. Whereas in jiu-jitsu, it's like, hey, you show up, you demonstrate these techniques, you put in the time, you will get these rewards. And a new child can come in and they look down the row of students and they see all these different belt ranks, and it just gives a kid a visual of, I show up, I work hard, I can achieve these goals. And especially when the kids will work together and everybody thinks that they kind of know how to handle themselves just by wrestling around with brother or cousin, or pretty much every time we get together.
Yep.
You know, if you have enough room in here, I'm sure him and I will be grabbing and pulling at each other by the end of the day.
Hey, I thought of doing a demo.
But everybody kind of thinks they know how to handle themselves, and then you step onto the mat with people who really know how to handle themselves, and it's an eye opener. Yeah. So I believe that just helps people, reinforces the idea of showing up, working hard, and you achieving the desired result. And as far as discipline, absolutely, there's a strict set of rules, strict set of like behavior. Like there's unacceptable behavior on the mat that is acceptable anywhere else, you know. So there's mat etiquette, there's gym etiquette, there's a lot of respect. We do a lot of bowing, and you just you can't really be quote unquote that guy or that girl on the mat, because there's gonna be somebody bigger and badder and tougher than you that's just gonna, you know, we got some mat enforcers that if you kind of start getting out of line, you're gonna get thumped on.
Right.
Yeah.
We were talking about that last episode, how sports prepare you for life.
Yes.
And not only, you know, to make you tougher, but also be a leader. Learn how to, you know, teamwork, confidence. That's huge. Not only in life, but in sports. That's important too. Yeah. But yeah, sports.
Learn how to mesh well with other people's little nuances and their triggers. Like you've all got to work together.
Oh yeah.
And I love when we'll do, you know, team drills, team competitions. It's a big thing that I've been having to reiterate in the kids class, of just wanting your partner to succeed, which is very new for some of these kids. They'll, you know, we'll work, you know, let's say a guillotine choke or a triangle choke, and the kid that is being demonstrated on will resist tapping to the point where their neck's getting hurt, and they'll come up out of the choke and their face is all red. And it's like, hey, just say, and they're bragging, they're happy, like, well, I didn't tap. I'm like, well, you shouldn't be bragging about that. You should want your partner to succeed, because if he starts succeeding, he's going to get better, you're going to get better, and you'll all help each other get better. Yeah.
One thing that always interests me, in whether it's boxing, MMA, when you get on the mat, it's just you. It's just you. You know, your team isn't here to help you anymore. Yeah. Your coach can yell some stuff, but at the end of the day, it's you and your execution. And I can only imagine, as a kid, what a great opportunity to find out like what you're all about. You know, are you? Is this for you or is it not? Right. Yep. And not to transition out of this, but also you were a Marine, or you are a Marine, and that experience I've always talked about. If I could hit my reset button, I think it would be such a great experience. And I think, honestly, I believe everyone should have to go through at least boot camp.
Sure. Find
out what you got, you know? It's not gonna, I don't feel like it's gonna put you in a worse position.
No, I don't believe so. Granted, there are some people, you know, with some mental health issues that, okay, let maybe not put you in the service. But for the most part, again, me as an 18, 19-year-old kid, I needed it. I was a little all over the place, didn't really have any guidance. I didn't know where I needed to go. And then you go to boot camp, and it's, again, similar to the martial arts. Like, you work hard, you follow this set of rules. We're not going to surprise you with any rules. Here are your rules. Here's what's expected of you. You meet these expectations, and you will get X, Y, and Z in these rewards. And again, as a 18-year-old kid, I needed that for sure.
How's the boot camp?
It was tough. The best piece of advice I got was from I'll plug old Dusty Dunn. He's one of our good friends. He went to the Marine Corps before me, and he's somebody I'd looked up to. He's part of the reason I wanted to join the Marines. I'm like, you know, I see Dustin. He's war hero. I'm like, all right, I like how he carried himself. I'm like, okay, the Marine Corps is onto something. But before I went to boot camp, he told me, he said, hey, don't be the first one to finish. Don't be the last one to finish. Don't stand out. I might have taken that a little too much to heart, because it was about 80% of the way through boot camp, you know, you would get people that either got hurt or, you know, they got sick. And if you miss a certain amount of training, then you get dropped from your group, and you just pick up on with another group that's kind of behind you in the training. So it would happen very frequently. So 80% of the way through boot camp, we're all, you know, in front of our racks, we're online, and the drill instructor come by and expect us. And he looks at me and he goes, "INGARRA, what did you pick up with us?" And I was like, "Well, you have to identify yourself as this recruit." I'm like, "Well, this recruit's been here the entire time." And he's like, "Oh, you're one of those hidden little pieces of crap." He's like, "All right, now that I see you," he's like, "I got you." And so I made it a very long time without being noticed, which helped me get by. But I had a rough last month because
what type of physical tasks you would, like running, like
a lot of running,
lifting?
You're on the move all day long. So from sun up to sundown, you're on the move. And it's hot, you know, it's in California. I was out there in the summer. It's hot. They will just dedicate hours out of the day to just break you down. Where it's, I don't want to spoil too many secrets, but it's like, let's say you're a group of drill instructors here. There's another group 500 yards away. And they would say, "Hey, go to that drill instructor. You run as fast as you can." Like, too slow. Go back to that one. Too slow. You guys aren't moving fast enough. And you would do that for hours. All right, let's roll around in the sand. You guys aren't rolling fast enough. You guys are lazy today. Go run over there. And it was more of kids just start breaking down mentally. And that's what
I feel like it's more like to prepare you mentally than to physically prepare you, right?
So it was a very big learning lesson for me, because since then, I don't get, you know, even when things are going well, I don't allow myself to get too high. When things aren't going well, I won't get too low. So I think the Marine Corps does teach you to just stay in that kind of steady ground.
One of my favorite sayings, I have it written down in my office up above my computer, but no one has ever said, so-and-so made me a better person by taking it easy on me.
No.
Right? Like, and that's a tough pill to swallow, especially as a dad. You know, I'm like trying to take it. Kids, it's not I'm not here, you know, to be your friend. You know, it's my job as your father to push you, to guide you and make sure, you know, but also let you fall and make your mistakes, you know. But I'm going to be the first one, probably the hardest one on you in your life.
Yep.
I will be.
Especially
when get used to it.
When you know that when you know their baseline. It took me a while with the kids class of Jiu-Jitsu. I start to learn the different personalities, and I start to learn where their thresholds are. And, you know, if I know one kid's output is usually up to there or up to here, and then, you know, we have class later tonight. And if I notice that kid's operating down here, I'm like, hey, I start putting a foot in your butt, like, hey, let's pick it up. And just because, you know, it's not picking on him, but I just know, I'm sure being the father, you know that even more. You know exactly what your kid is capable of. And you just need to push them to that limit or that boundary as often as you can, and as comfortable as you can, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. As comfortable as you can. That's key.
Yep.
And as a parent, I have 2 kids. Like, I can't talk to my son the same way I talk to my daughter.
Yes.
Right. And it's just like those different kids on the mat, or as you get into him, you know, working in a work environment, you know, you don't go and just talk to everyone and be like, this is how I am. Exactly. Take it or leave it. I mean, I hate that saying.
Yeah. And there are kids that you need to deal differently, because, you know, it's in sports. I mean, I can't speak about soccer. Some players, for you to make them play and perform well, you need to support.
Yes.
You know, support and keep supporting them and giving more confidence. Some players will work well like that, but some others, you need to be rough and harsh.
Exactly.
And then they will start playing. So in sports, that happens a lot, in different personalities too.
I think that's the magic, or like the secret sauce of being a coach or even being a parent. So it's just identifying what motivates that kid. Yeah.
So Tony, when you were active in the Marines, did you go overseas?
Yes. 2008, I went to Al Anbar province, Iraq. I was a part of, I didn't even know it at the time, but I come back home, and I'm watching the news, and Obama keeps talking about the push. We're doing this push where we're just sending massive amounts of people overseas. And I'm listening, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then he starts naming the locations where I'm like, oh, well, I was a part of whatever that push was called. So So I went over there, and it was while we were trying to transition a lot of the responsibility to the Iraq Army, Iraq Police. So we would do our normal patrols, our normal operations, and try to work a little closer to the Iraq officials and to say, hey, you know, we have this issue here, but we need to help you guys. We need to guide you guys into handling that, as opposed to us going in and handling the situation.
Mm-hmm. What, I can't wrap my head around what that's like, you know, going to this completely new place. Mm-hmm. And thank God you have a whole crew with you, sure. Right? Like, we're in this together, guys. Mm-hmm. What did you find that helped you kind of stay stable, stay positive? What was some of that?
And it's funny, I can barely wrap my head around going at this point. Like, I think back at those memories, and it almost feels like I'm looking at a different person out there. Like, I remember, you know, specific events, but you just feel like such a different person over there that I don't even identify with that individual. I remember a lot of, you know, you do your patrols and you do whatever work you needed done for the day. You sit post, but, you know, a lot of just downtime. That's why when you hear the stories of service members getting back and almost missing being overseas, it's just because you're around people that you care about all day long. Mm-hmm. I mean, you think of it now as an adult, and you're like, man, I need my alone time. Or, you know, sometimes I just need to shut it down. Where over there, so you needed to be surrounded by people all the time. So you watch some movies, you play some games, but for the most part, you're just hanging out with, you know, some of the closest people that you have in the entire world at that time.
Is there any war? I mean, when was the last time that people needed to go to another country and fight? Did the U.S. Army went to Russia or Ukraine now with this last thing that happened? Because I'm not.
I don't believe.
No, we've sent a lot of aid, okay. But it's a very shaky situation. Because if we start supporting with personnel, then yeah, that can just kind of unravel. Open up Pandora's box a little bit. So again, I'm no, you know, foreign policy expert. But as far as I know, as of right now, we're just mostly sending aid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Financial aid and equipment.
And where other places that there is U.S. Army nowadays?
All over the world. Yeah. All over the world. Yeah. So a lot of, I mean, we have bases, you know, all over the world. A lot of it's just keeping positive relationships.
Yeah.
With governments. Some of it's probably strategic. Some of it is just, hey, you know, it's nice to have good working relationships with other countries. Like, I know you guys are from Brazil, so I know there's some operations that go where, you know, the U.S. will send troops down, and it's just, hey, let's train together. What do you got? What are you guys doing with what weapon systems are you firing? What are you learning about these weapon systems? Well, here are ours. Here's some of our new tactics, and we just share.
Yeah. Okay, nice.
If you were 17, 18 years old again, and knowing what you know now, would you enroll in
absolutely.
I mean,
I'm still in. So
right. Well,
so
true.
And I said it for a very long time that I would just stay in until I didn't enjoy it anymore, which obviously I still enjoy it. But then next thing I know, I'm 15 years in, and it's like, well, you know, there's no point in getting out now. I've got 5 more years to hit the 20, and that's a magic number.
What a great role to land in, though, with the Wounded Warriors.
Yes. Yeah, very lucky there.
Absolutely. So how did that come into fruition, Tony?
So I have a friend. He's a retired master sergeant. Him and I have served in 3 different units together now. But he has just, every now and then, we would, you know, reach out to each other every couple of years, especially when we were separated in different units. And he would just say, hey, I've got this great opportunity that this unit's looking for Marines. I think you'd be a good fit. And I learned pretty early in my Marine Corps career, just don't say no to things. Kind of like that Jim Carrey, yes, man. I'll do that all day long. Like when this opportunity came up, hey, do you want to do it? Absolutely, let's do it. And I've had some of the best experiences in my life just by saying yes and just raising my hand. Hey, yeah, I'll do it. Cool, let's do it. Mm-hmm. And so this individual, Master Sergeant, again retired, Patrick Moore, him and I would stay in contact, and he was getting out of this Wounded Warrior gig. And asked me if I wanted to pursue it. And I said, absolutely, let's do it. I can help wounded vets. I can help people that really need and deserve help. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You said that started like 15 years ago, right?
I believe so.
The program, yeah. Okay.
And so important too, man. I mean, you hear of veterans coming back, and you think you're coming home. There's going to be this great welcoming, and all these people are going to be there waiting. You know, and it's like crickets to many. You know,
and that's why a lot of service members struggle, even if you don't suffer from a lot of physical and mental injuries. Like we were talking about before, where you're surrounded by some of your best friends, and then you get out, and next thing you know, you're living in a 1-bedroom apartment, and you're the new guy at some job that you're not even that passionate about, and a lot of people struggle there.
Would you say that the main thing now would be the mental aspect when those people come back, or how they can get wounded like at this time if there's no combat?
So that's what is the big transition currently. 10 years ago, we'd have service members coming back with, limbs missing, concussions, brain injury. And more recently, it's a lot of mental issues.
Okay.
There's still, there's still Marines that were hurt 10 years ago that still don't have all of their issues figured out. So we still do have those, hey, I served in 2003, 2004, I was blown up this date, and I'm still suffering. I still am not fully taken care of. But some of the more recent ones, it's some mental illness, and you still do get hurt even if you don't go into combat. The military will take its toll on your body, just training. So we'll get guys that are messed up just from, the regular service, not in combat. So,
I always heard that a lot of homeless people in the U.S. are veterans. I wonder what's still left for the U.S. government to do, or for someone to do, to stop that from happening. You think this program, I'm sure this is helping a lot on that case, but what else needs to be done? Because I was always told that veterans have a bunch of benefits, make good money, retirement, government helps, discount in a bunch of stores.
Sure.
What's happening? What happens that makes those people become homeless?
Well, so there are a lot of benefits being offered, but it's very interesting that a lot of the benefits aren't widely known. So even when I was serving, I was overseas, it was just, again, it was the culture. 10 years ago, you just sucked it up. If you popped something in your knee, you rolled your ankle, you sucked it up. And so within the last 10 years, I think we've kind of had a little culture shift where it's like, hey, if you're broken, if you need help, go get it. Go get it documented. Go get taken care of. So there was a long period of time where you just didn't talk about it. If you were hurt, if you were injured, especially if you were suffering mentally, now you were expected to deal with it and to come home and assimilate back with your family, back at your job, and it was your duty to fix yourself and to get back into the workforce.
Well, think about it too. You're basically trained to show no signs of weakness.
None. No emotion either. It was something that I've dealt with in the last 5 years, where I was almost too good at just cutting off emotions with things. And then probably in the last 5 years, I'm like, I don't think this is healthy. Yeah. And it would start, to spill out, in other forms, For me, it was, I'd go to the gym and kind of release things, or, I don't know. I just had other ways of releasing, but, just the last 5 years, I'm like, it's not good just bottling up and compartmentalizing, sorrow or fear, where in the military and, in law enforcement, you had to. I couldn't show up on a scene, where there's, somebody needing emergency care, a domestic, a fight. I can't show up and be like, oh my God, there's so much blood. It's like, no, you just have to show up and very stoic and handle things without emotion. And it's not good. You need to have a release, yes.
So you mentioned law enforcement. Was there ever a passion to be a police officer, or did you find yourself that was an easy transition from military?
More of the transition from military. I was midway through boot camp and realizing that, hey, in August, I'm done in boot camp. I'm going back to North Central College in Naperville. And what do I know how to do? Well, I know how to obey and accomplish direction. I know how to put on a uniform, and I know how to like follow rules. And again, I liked helping people. I like the idea, even in the Marines, a lot of it, the combat goes on the news, but I've done a ton of exercises going, to the Philippines, going to Thailand, going all over the place, and helping people, help facilitate a well or a school of these very small villages that don't have that. And so I really fell in love with the idea of serving and trying to help. And so it was a very easy transition. Okay, I'm going to start focusing towards law enforcement, finish my college, get my college degree, and then try to get on at a local police department.
And how many years were you a police officer?
It will be, I got sworn in October of 2009.
Okay.
So, but when this Wounded Warrior Regiment position opened up for me, since I am full-time on federal active duty orders, I'm not able legally to work as a police officer. So Loves Park Police has been great. They allowed me to take, a hiatus where I'm still on the employee roster. However, I don't work for them day to day. So once my military stint ends, they can accept me back in, and I'll just kind of pick up where I left off.
Tell us something funny, man, about a random police stop. I know you got a good story, something, maybe you show up at a house thinking you got this issue, and then it's absolutely something funny or chaotic. I mean, or even if it's another officer's story. I just always love a good, random, unexpected story.
So I can have 100 of them in my head, and the second somebody asks for one, I blank.
Right.
The one that I could think of, and again, you kind of you do have to keep it very, political when you show up, because the one that I can think of is we would get called to this individual's home who, struggles with mental health, isn't quite there, and showed up to the house. I think this individual called maybe 911 2 to 3 times that night about stolen bananas. That he's sure, he gets his 7 bananas on Monday, and it's Wednesday and there's only 3 bananas left. Somebody's breaking into his house and stealing his bananas. And he's, again, just dead serious. Like, the thought of him maybe just eating too many bananas for the day never crossed his head. It's either somebody broke into his house and stole it, or the Walmart lady that checked him out didn't give him the 7 bananas, took 2, and then gave him 5. So just little things like that, and you show up.
And what do you do in a situation like that? You buy him some bananas, or?
We have.
Did you look in the garbage can to see if there is banana peels?
We did not. No.
So what kind of detective are you?
No, I was a patrol officer, not a detective.
No, I know.
We do have some cases where you go in, and especially when there's kids involved, and we've had to take some kids from some houses, and you can tell that kid hasn't eaten, and you ask them like, "Hey, you hungry?" And you drive them through like McDonald's, you get them some food. So there are cases where it's like, all right, hey, let me get something for you.
That's awesome.
Some cases that'll break your heart. Like, you walk around and you see a kid who's 2-3 years old walking around with like a full diaper that hasn't been changed in days. And again, when you're 3 years old, you kind of need to be you should be out of diapers anyway.
Yes.
And you can just tell, like, some calls will break your heart for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It'd be such a tough job. And it's almost like the police are here. Like, when you're on the other side, you're like, oh, the police are here.
Yes.
And like, you're here to help,
try to help,
diffuse, or just figure out a situation. I can't fathom. And then what I've always thought about too is when you pull someone over, gosh, you have no idea who or what is going on up here, right? So of course you may be on guard or prepared for the unexpected. I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine the rush that one would have of going, okay, what do I got here?
Have you had anything bad happening when you pull someone over, or something that you didn't expect? Or found
every now and then, sure. Yeah, you pull a car over, and you'd have a backup officer that'll usually go around to a different window, and then we have a code word for gun, and then you're doing your normal traffic stop, and then you hear that other officer give the code word for gun, and it's like, okay, now how do you handle it? Do you get your gun out, or do you just try to casually, hey, just come out and talk?
Sure.
And so it's kind of decisions you have to make like that. And as far as traffic stops in general,
like
tough.
Big drug busts. Have you had one of those?
I've been involved in some. Yeah, we would get a tip from state police, like, hey, I think this vehicle, we've got a source saying that it's got these type of drugs hitting in this compartment. If you see it, pull it over. Try to find a traffic violation that it does. It's something small. Pull it over and try to search it. And so I've been involved in cases like that. Involved where you just pull someone over for speeding, and next thing you know, the canine officer's just right down the road. He's like, hey, I'm just gonna get my dog out, stretch my legs, and the dog alerts on the vehicle. You're like, oh, okay, well, let's see what we got. And sure enough, you open up a Pringles can, and it's like a fake can, and there's some narcotics or something hidden in there.
Sure. I've got some speeding tickets. I mean, 2, maybe.
Hey, this boy drives fast.
3, no. You drive fast.
You passed me. Okay.
My question is, I always wondered how. Okay, if a cop is on the middle of the highway, and then you pass, okay, there is a GPS or some type of thing that you can see the person's speed going by.
Radar.
Yeah, radar. Yeah, sorry. But when the cops also moving and the other cars coming the other direction, can you also get the other guy's speed? When the guy's behind you, can you also get the speed? In front of you too? Both cars moving?
Not at the same time. And again, I can only attest to the equipment I've seen. But the equipment I've seen is you've got your handheld radar gun. So if someone is parked,
radar,
they could be doing that. Or as you're driving around, there's like a front mounted radar and a back mounted radar. So you can toggle, hey, I want to check speeds of vehicles going with me.
Okay.
And you can also toggle, I want to check speeds of vehicles going towards me.
Okay.
And again, that's all just you hit a couple buttons and it'll change.
Okay.
Now getting like everybody's speed all at the same time, no. You get very good at again, you drive around so much, you just get like the radar won't even be on, and a car will whip by you and you're like, they were moving. Okay. Like you just get used to the flow of traffic after driving for so long that so if a car flies by you, you may not have gotten them as they were coming at you, but then you just hit your rear one and it picks up on a high speed, and that's when you'll see them like turn around. And
sometimes some
anonymous person.
No. Okay, you're going on the highway, normal driving.
Sure.
Someone passed you way faster than you, and you're like, oh, this guy's faster than me, I'll go behind him. If the cop goes
pace,
by, they'll get this guy, not me. Sure. If I'm with another guy going fast and the cops get the speed, can the cop get the speed of both, or it will be only one car?
It depends. So again, if they've got like the handheld thing, you can single out each individual car.
Okay.
If you don't, but you see 2 cars are moving around the same speed, then it's just you just get whatever one you can get at that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've done that.
You're taking
notes.
No, honestly, I'll tell you, I've lost my license twice. When I was under 21, there's a law in the state of Illinois. I don't know if it still exists. But if you get 2 traffic violations in a 12-month period,
especially at that young,
under 21,
see ya,
you lose your license. So that happened to me. I lost it for 3 months. Very quickly got 2 more, and lost it for 12 months. And I under 21, and the amount of time I sat and waited for friends to come pick me up, who don't care if I'm late to work, who don't care where I need to be. It's not their problem. That was the worst 12 months ever for me. I mean, I'm sure but it was a long 12 months.
Going in, kudos to you for making it, because not many do, especially young. they'll get their license pulled and it's like, hey, it's suspended for 6 months. Most are like, they make it 2 weeks
and
then you start driving, and then it's something that'll follow you for the rest of your life. Then you get like a couple suspended tickets, and now it's revoked. And now it's not coming back.
No.
And you'll find people that serve prison time because they keep driving. Revoked. Hey, you go to jail for a couple weeks. Hey, knock it off. 8 months later, you see that same car, that same person, and it's like,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
I hung drywall with a guy who had like 6 DUIs. No license, kept driving and kept getting, and he would show up at the work site in a cab and have to get picked back up at the work site in a cab to go back to jail. He was getting out of jail on a work release, but had to like get up in the morning in jail, would come able to work.
Probably the happiest drywall hanger
you'd
ever met in your life.
Not to be in jail. But yeah, it's crazy to me. I personally just didn't do it because I'm the guy who will get caught, and then I'm like looking at I have the worst luck when it comes to that type of stuff. Yeah, I'm the one, like, I could watch 50 of you guys do something, and then I'm like, I feel good about doing that. And then the minute I do, woo!
Yep.
Like, it always blows up in my face. Always.
Well, again, good that you learned that lesson young, because not many do.
Right.
There's still people you'll pull over, and they're hammered, and you, like, run their license, and it's like, you haven't had a license for 5 years, and you're on, like, your 4th DUI. It's like, what is going on here?
Right.
Yeah,
so they need to go to some good decision workshops.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I think I mentioned that last week. I had to go to court-ordered good decision workshops. From spraying a fire extinguisher in school, I was asked not to come
recently.
back. Yeah, no. This was back in high school. I was asked not to come back to high school for a period of time. But yeah, I had to go to good decision workshops. And boy, look at me now.
Yeah, right.
It really.
So my good decision workshop was the Marine Corps boot camp.
I was just gonna get it was the Marine Corps.
Yeah, so I saw the writing on the wall, kind of like what you're talking about. Like, you have a couple run-ins with law enforcement, and I just, again, saw the writing where I'm like, oh, it's not getting any better. I could consciously see that I'm not making any smarter decisions. It was really a really weird time. Like, I could tell that I wasn't, but just I wasn't doing anything about it, or I wasn't changing what I was doing. And then I'm like, okay, I need a big change.
See, I thought you joined mostly because you just did not want to follow it in the steps of either of your brothers.
Correct.
Like
Correct. That was absolutely.
Andy, don't go down that road.
Why?
Exactly.
Mostly because they'll hopefully watch this. But no, they're two stand-up guys.
My brothers are great.
Yeah,
sure.
outstanding family and everything.
Yeah,
I just wanted to take a little poke.
Absolutely.
Mostly at Andy.
Rightfully so, absolutely.
Yeah, mostly Andy.
Yeah.
So, what's your goal for the near future? 5 years, 10 years? What do you want to be doing? You want to keep working on the Wounded Warriors?
Absolutely. I'll do the Wounded Warrior gig for as long as they'll allow me.
Yeah.
So it's a little unique because since I was in the reserves part of the Marine Corps, and then they put me full-time active duty, that there are some stipulations where there's a time limit where I can do it because, I've still got the employer, the law enforcement employer that, is just sitting there kind of waiting for me.
Yep.
So, I can't do it forever, but as long as I can be a Marine, help Marines, I will do that. And I'm still pursuing my passion in the jiu-jitsu gym. We've got a couple new programs going. We got a boxing class, hoping to have like a Muay Thai kickboxing class starting up here soon. But the rest is, I just love showing up. And, I've met some of my friends have become very close friends. Some people I would just identify as acquaintances have now become close friends, and people I just never even knew have, they become members and they become close friends also. So it's outside of the Marine Corps, it's the best. I'll probably say I think the jiu-jitsu community is probably my favorite community at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I'm here thinking, so when people are on active duty, like when they're overseas, is there this type of support as well, like psychological people, helping them in those places too?
Absolutely. So every main military base will have, like a full medical staff, a full hospital. We take yearly classes on mental health, and they'll pull us aside individually and just say, hey, how's everything going? Are you sleeping okay? Are you eating okay? But again, this is a newer change. This is just in the last 10 years where there's been more of a focus on mental health. Before it was just, hey, go do your job, don't complain about it, and we'll wake up tomorrow, we'll do it all over again. So every major military installation will have, full medical staff, including mental health at this point.
Yeah. Okay.
Tony, what would you say to somebody, young men and women, wrapping up high school, maybe don't know what they want to do, and maybe not necessarily military, I don't know, but what's just something you would say to some of our youth?
I would tell my younger self, I'll say that just follow what you would enjoy doing. Follow what you're passionate about. That didn't seem like it was much of an option when I was growing up. It was, hey, you go to high school to get to college. You go to college to get a job. You get a job to get a house. And then you work that job until you can retire. And that's kind of when you enjoy life. And then it kind of hit me when I was, probably just turned 30. And it's like, man, I really love this thing. I'm thinking about this thing over here all the time. And just do it. You don't want to be 60 and regret not doing something. I would have rather done it, even if it failed, but I'd just be happy I did it. Yeah. So I'm sure with you guys, with this awesome studio and facility, at some point you ran in that crossroads where you just have to pull the trigger and just do it. And
that's basically how it came into fruition. We talked about it enough. A lot. Not even coincidentally, that's how it came. Talk about it, but we talked about it plenty. We just kind of had the vision and made it happen.
We did a bunch of episodes, only me and Lauren, recording with my cell phone just to see how it goes.
Sure.
We were thinking about doing only me and Lauren before, without gas, and then we were like, let's bring gas, right?
Yeah. Well, no one wants to really listen to us. I mean,
you'd be surprised.
Well, for an episode or two, and then
maybe they eventually will like us. Maybe.
Yeah, but till then, we need people like you. But no, for real, we do appreciate you coming today, Tony.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Thank you for your service.
Oh yeah,
thank you for your dedication to the other veterans who are in their service. And wish you nothing but the best of luck, bro.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Again, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So it's Tony INGARRA. Thank you. Look forward to everything you guys at Pride Jiu-Jitsu Academy continue to do. Keep doing that thing too, man.
Come see us if you're in the Rockton, Illinois area.
Yeah. Or just go look them up. Pride Jiu-Jitsu Academy. Look them up on Instagram. They do a great job of posting and even showing what they're doing there with kids and all different ages. Keep it up, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, folks, you have been listening to the Talk About It podcast. I'm Lauren Fulmer.
I'm Victor Dantas.
And we greatly appreciate all the support. Why don't you tell them what they need to do?
Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you know when the next video is going to be up. And I see you guys next week.
All right. Thank you. Have a good week. Thank you for watching this episode of the Talk About It podcast.
I'm Victor Dantas.
I'm Lauren Fulmer.
And we would encourage you guys to subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to hit the bell. It's going to be right below the video. So you
hit the bell.
So you know when the next episode is up.
We appreciate all the support.
Thank you.